GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
You said it's going to get finished, it's going to wrap up. But that wasn't the story behind this film. I think the biggest struggle was even getting this floor to be on the floors. This is a story which belonged in the 1870s, 1880s. And we are shooting this in 2023. And honestly, not much has changed for women, even till date. It took me 5 long years just to convince producers to back this film, to support this film. This journey started in 2019 when Ram made a call to me. I was barely 2 years old in the industry. I'm 7 years old in the industry, and it took me 5 long years in that career span to make this film happen. Then we went to so many producers. Everyone's like, yeah, it's great, great, great. It's a lovely subject, but who's the hero? And Ram would be like, Rukmini is the hero. Then like, no, but hero, like, who's the hero? At 6:30 in the morning, I sent a 5-page long message to the CM of the state, to Didi. And she called me and she told me, I've understood. After almost 4-5 hours, like, give me 7 days, let me look it up, what is happening. And in 2 days, she changed history. Even on the day of her Muhurat, 2 producers backed out.
Oh my God.
I did a shot, I still remember. I did this shot in my early days. I think I was barely 1.5, 2 years old in the industry. And after I saw it, I sat next to the director. I said, sir, but I think it's looking a little silly. It's illogical. Whatever's happened here doesn't make sense. You know, the audience will probably laugh at what we've done because there's a big error, which is pretty obvious. So you think we should reshoot it? He looked at it and said, no. Okay. Are you're looking so nice. Everything's working. No one's going to notice so much also. It's okay. And the way he looked at me was, you have an opinion? You're the hero. And 5 minutes later, with all due respect, the hero walks in. He's like, Acha, let me just see what have we shot and what are we thinking about this scene. So I was sitting quietly and he saw it and he's like, what have you done? This is so silly. Audience is going to say, this is looking so stupid. This is illogical, doesn't make sense. Reshoot it. He's like, this is why you are who you are. Yeah, salute.
It has been years that I know her, and it has been years that I knew that she is doing a film called Binodini. And as a Bengali, I have never ever said this, and I must say that I'm extremely proud that a film like Binodini is hitting theatres, because when we speak about pan-India films, Bengalis are here and they're here to rule and stay. And today joining me for a conversation is Rukmini Maitra, only in conversation with me for Galatta India. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nayandeep. Thank you for having me. Khub bhalo khabor. Extremely busy, but super happy that I'm finally, like you just said, it's been years that you know me, and possibly equal number of years that you know this movie is happening, because it took 5 long years for this movie to happen.
That is true. So, yeah. 5 long years. Amar mone ache, you know, there was a point of time when I was just in DNA in a newspaper that I was writing, and Bahubali was supposed to release, okay?
Right.
And Bahubali was a film that took 5 years to make. Part 1. Okay. I'm gonna give you those instances.
Okay.
It changed the whole landscape of Indian films, where all the language barriers actually started fading away. তুমি বিশ্বাস করবে না, media was called to do SS Rajamouli's interview, and half of them didn't turn up because they didn't know who Rajamouli was. This is 3 days before the film release, and 3 days after the film release, the whole idea had changed. People were queuing up, media was queuing up for an interview with Rajamouli, and he was not free. So, আমার মনে হয় যে this is a film that will put Bengal on a global map. There's a reason why I said that, you know, Rajamouli sir and Bahubali. No pressure, but
yeah, okay, yeah. After having given me that kind of an example, then you tell me, yeah, but no pressure, yeah. So very, very kind, very generous.
But 5 years, 5 long years as an artist.
Right.
যদিও তুমি মাঝে অনেকগুলো মুভি করেছো, but when you're connected and attached to a character, because I know how emotionally attached you are to Binodini as a character, how difficult and taxing were those 5 years when you were like, okay, now it's gonna get finished, now it's gonna wrap up? Ki challenges chilo? What were the challenges?
You said it's going to get finished, it's going to wrap up, but that wasn't the story behind this film. I think the biggest struggle was even getting this floor to be on the floors, because it is, I'll tell you a little instance before I begin the story.
Absolutely.
That my director Ram and I, whenever we would be shooting this film, Finally, when we got to shoot this film, every time after the scene, usually you go to your director and you usually ask them that how did it go? Do you like it? Do you want me to change something? And I would go to him, and that is not what I would ask him. I would rather make a statement, and I tell him that this is a story which belonged in the 1870s, 1880s, and we are shooting this in 2023. And honestly, not much has changed for women, even till date.
Absolutely.
It's just the years, those pages in the calendars that we've turned over, but not much when it's come to women and their position. Now, coming to your question, it took me 5 long years just to convince producers to back this film, to support this film. This journey started in 2019 when Ram made a call to me. I was barely 2 years old in the industry. I'm 7 years old in the industry, and it took me 5 long years in that career span to make this film happen. And then he tells me that I'm making this film and I'm making it with you. Of course, I was shocked. I was over the moon. I was overjoyed. I was overwhelmed. And then, without even knowing who's producing it, when are we going to shoot for it, I just started training for Kathak in blind faith.
Lovely.
Yeah, because I wasn't classically trained, and I'm like, let me just start it. It's like, if you truly believe in it, it will happen. So I just thought this was the first, that foundation brick that let me do this for the film. Then we had producers from Bombay, and then COVID hit us, and then I don't know, something happened and they weren't there. Then we went to so many producers. Everyone's like, yeah, it's great, great, great. It's a lovely subject, but who's the hero? And Ram would be like, Rukmini is the hero. Then like, no, but hero, like, who's the hero? Like, Binodini. And then, because Binodini's mentor is Girish Chandra Ghosh, there came a point in time where we were asked to make it Girish or Binodini. And Ram was, I think I'm so grateful to him. I think women in this industry should be grateful to him, because he said, no, if I was to make Girish or Binodini, I would make Girish or Binodini. But right now, I am making Binodini.
Yeah, maybe make a separate film on that. That's absolutely fine.
And it took us 5 long years. We had set deadlines to hobby. Every time we would hit rock bottom, and we would kind of pick each other up. And we would both be like, we discuss her, we talk about her. We have to change Star Theatre's name to Binodini Theatre. All of these conversations would happen.
But holo to, bhabo. All that has come. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you because I had to say this.
Yes.
That I was gonna come to that. That imagine the euphoria, imagine the conclusion of that movie and the effect and the impact that actually the name got changed right now. Did that give you like a...
Of course, it was. I'll tell you, I was shooting for this other film, and I knew my promotions were starting from the 1st of Jan. Okay. Sri Ramakrishna Paramhansha's poster, we were launching, Chandan's poster. And I function very emotionally as a human being. My guilt, my happiness, my sadness, my anger, everything is on an emotional high most of the time. So I was in my car at 6:30 in the morning going to this other movie set, and something told me that over the 5 long years when I've tried to make this film, having lost producers, found them again, and finally having people like Pratik and Dev to back it up eventually, and then making the film, now it's about to release. And every time I've only had one conversation, that they did her dirty. This was wrong. It is one of the biggest errors made in history to a woman.
Absolutely.
And being a woman in today's day and age, where at the drop of a hat, I'm writing about women empowerment, feminism on social media, commenting on people's pages. What have I even done? I'm just taking Binodini's name, using it for my name and fame, and that's about it. Am I that selfish? And I was like, maybe I can't change this, but I can try. I don't know what happened to me, what hit me. At 6:30 in the morning, I sent a 5-page long message to the CM of the state, to Didi. And I don't know what, and I didn't write to her, and I've never written to her, practically never written to her, nothing. I just meet her on KIFF mostly, that's about it. And I just wrote to her that I think this is a plea from a woman to a woman. And I think it's time that a woman gets her due credit.
Absolutely.
And I think when we have a woman CM, which is probably the only one in the country at the moment, I think it's time that this happens. And I told her that I've done a movie and I'm suffering from immense guilt that I'm not trying anything. And I really thought it was a very complicated process, because 141 years have gone by and this has not happened. And I just messaged her, if Didi, you think আমি খুব বেশি আশপর্দা করছি না, যদি এটা বি থিয়েটার বা বিনোদিনী থিয়েটার করা যায়, I think not as an actor or as a woman, I think as a human being, I'll always be grateful to you for changing the history for the right.
Absolutely.
And she called me and she told me, I've understood. After almost 4-5 hours, like, give me 7 days, let me look it up, what is happening. And in 2 days, she changed history.
You know, there is immense
So
power.
Star Theatre is
now.
Binodini Theatre.
There is immense power in the power of being she, I believe, because I've been raised by a really, really strong woman. And I feel like always been surrounded by really, really strong women, including my niece who you met.
Yes.
So she might be 12, but she's very headstrong. আমি এটা মনে করি যে women have the power to change things.
Right.
You know, there's this beautiful interview. তুমি এখন বললে বলে মনে পড়েছে Shahrukh Khan in the beginning of his career he had done one interview, somebody can look it up, I've forgotten the name of the interview, যেখানে somebody told him that you don't have anything to become a hero, you don't look like a hero, you have a girlish nature. And he had said something wonderful. Today we respect him for the respect that he has for women. He had said that I'm happy if they're thinking that I'm like a woman, because in my eyes a woman is an overachiever, because they know how to multitask. They are emotionally sensitive and sensible at the same time, which men aren't. And they really are problem solvers. So if you think I'm a woman, I'm happy to be a woman and be called one. And I think women have always changed the narrative, right? True. When you were going through the similar process where tumi jemon bolle je producers there were some producers on board who backed out, right?
Even on the day of our Muhurat, 2 producers backed out.
Oh my God. How did you meander through all of that?
It was difficult. It was an excruciating experience. It was a emotional roller coaster ride. You know, every time I still remember we shot the poster of me as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu back in January 2020, and I released it by end of 2022. And I still remember every time we would fight someone and we would have a group meeting and we are going to plan, you know, like যেরকম মেয়ের বিয়ে প্ল্যান করি না, we plan the wedding of our daughters. It was one of those moments, you know, we are going to go to this place and we're going to dress it up like this and we're going to use these flowers and this kind of a music will play, press will come in, we're going to do this. And then immediately by the end of the week it will be like, no, but he's backed out. And we'd be left heartbroken. And something in me kept telling me, then I was saying, no, you know, we are doing this not just as a film, because I truly believe that Binodini is not only a film, it's a movement.
Also an emotion to Bengalis.
It's an emotion for Bengalis. It's a story that has been forgotten in the pages of history, which has to be retold, which has to be narrated for future generations to know that the reason why I'm even doing this interview today is because, or the other wonderful actresses that you interview is because of someone like Binodini who carved the way for us to be here.
Absolutely.
Which was a Bengali.
Yes, absolutely. Bengalis.
Yes.
Rule everywhere.
We're the pioneers.
But it is the fact.
You know, we were just invited to National School of Drama in Delhi, and apparently we were the first ever Bengali film to be invited. And of course, it's a huge moment of pride. But our chest, they literally got like, they swell up like 3 folds when we got to know that, you know, we were walking on the wall of fame. There's a wall of fame. They have directors and chairpersons and all of those things. And he pointed at, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was some South Indian person, Vasant, or so I can't remember. And then he said he had set the module for you know, how the curriculum will work at NSD, which is a big thing. I said, oh, I'd heard it. Somebody was saying it. So I was like, oh, acha, he's done it. Okay, that's great. But no. He's the one who kind of reformed it, but originally it was this man. And then I see it's a Bengali man. It was a Sen. And I'm like, oh, ekhaneo Bengali. Bole shob jaygaye Bengali.
Absolutely. And I feel art er সাথে বাংলার একটা আলাদা you know connection আছে. I'll be very honest. For years that I've been in Mumbai, and I've known you also for so many years, but আমার মায়ের সারা জীবনের একটা কমপ্লেইন্ট ছিল যে তুই বাঙালি হয়ে বাংলার জন্য কিছু
ওর মা নয়নদীপের মা যেভাবে ওকে বকে, কি করলি তুই বোম্বে থেকে, এমন নামটা করে কি হলো, বাঙালিদের জন্য কিছু করেছিস, যে করিস না ঘরে ঢুকতে হবে না, থাক ওখানে।
Absolutely in this tone, guys.
That day the reel also you uploaded is so anti.
শোনো ওই চটটা সত্যিই মেরেছে
আমাকে। I know, আমি জানি, আমি দেখেই বুঝি এটা নয় সত্যি। It was very real. I knew it দিয়েছে। I could say, I could understand. With auntie, I know she's done it.
You know, when you talk about women, the power and the voice that today women are having, thanks to people. You know, Binodini was a movement. Of course. But that movement, you rightly said, that has not really changed everything for women today, right? As a woman caught up in a patriarchal setup in society, she fought her own battles. But when you look back at your own journey, How many battles did you have to fight just because you're a woman?
I mean, I got independent at a very young age because I started modeling at such a young age, at the age of 13, and I've had a sense of independence, and also the fact that I hail from a very woman-centric family,
Yeah.
Where they always tend to put women forward. My school, I've been to convents, of course, I'm all the more empowered.
Yeah.
Just today, I went to my school and I remembered my school anthem. Every single day we sang it, and we used to sing that we stand for truth and equal rights. So imagine an entire 800 students every single morning, this is what they sing. So you can understand what has been inculcated into my
Absolutely.
system. Thereafter, being a model, it's a very woman dominated industry. Then when I went into films, and the entire ball game changed, to the extent that it was a really silly episode, which I feel that I'm an opinionated Indian, just like every other Indian, irrespective of gender.
Absolutely.
And when I did a short, I still remember, I did this short. In my early days, I think I was barely 1.5, 2 years old in the industry. And after I saw it, I sat next to the director. I said, "Sir, but I think it's looking a little silly. It's illogical. Whatever's happened here doesn't make sense. The audience will probably laugh at what we've done because there's a big error, which is pretty obvious. So you think we should reshoot it?" He looked at it and said, no. Ho gaya. Are you're looking so nice. Everything's working. No one's going to notice so much also. It's okay. And the way he looked at me was, you have an opinion? You're the hero. At times, mukhe bolta hai na.
Intent.
You can understand. Chokhe takano to you can understand that what he's trying to indicate. 5 minutes later, with all due respect, the hero walks in and he was supposed to do the next part, that was the initial part and the second part. And he walks in and he's like, "Acha, let me just see what have we shot and what are we thinking about this scene." So I was sitting quietly and he saw it and he's like, "Arey, what have you done? This is so silly. Audience is going to say this is looking so stupid. This is illogical, doesn't make sense. Reshoot it." He's like, "This is why you are who you are. Yeah, salute. This is why. And I'm like,
10 মিনিট আগে তো আমি বলেছিলাম এটা সেমটা
yes, let's do it, you're correct, let's do it. And I was like, what just happened? And then I'm like, theek hai, as long as it's happening for the right, doesn't matter who changed the name from Star Theatre to Binodini Theatre, the fact that it has happened
is
that
what matters.
is what matters. So it's happened, it doesn't matter, it just happened, it's good. So that's exactly the emotion I felt. So that is something which I faced. But then again, I've been blessed with really good directors. These are very few, but maybe other girls still face it, and maybe a larger section, because I come with a lot of opinions. I have a lot of questions, which I think is fine. Like in my first film, I was asking a lot of questions because I didn't understand why I was doing what I was doing. Then, no, you asked too many questions. Chalo, sit. This has also happened. I'm like, but I can't logically understand what is happening. Just explain it to me. It's fine. Then, of course, one of the biggest thing is that, no matter what you do, I think in a patriarchal society, the credit of a woman is always, somehow or the other, they try to take it away from you. They will, but I think that is how society has functioned. First, you have, say, you're using the title of your father, then you're using the title of your husband, then maybe you're known by what your son. So it just goes on and on. So at the end of the day, I think eventually, just the way Binodini's got her due credit, maybe one of the longest, one of the most delayed of justices that has ever happened in history. But eventually, as women, we will also get our due credit and our due share of justice.
You said something beautiful, that a woman is always known by somebody else's name, and primarily a man's name, right? Whether it's the father, the husband, or the son. I want to know, you are a staunchly opinionated human being, and I love that about you, because that is also where we connect, right? How would Rukmini Maitra want to be remembered by, or remembered as?
As someone who made you smile.
How sweet. Irrespective of what you're...
Matter.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter whether we ever do an interview again. Doesn't matter if I become the biggest movie star in the country. Doesn't matter if you become the best host in the country. Touch wood. I hope that you do, and I know you will. All of this is going to fade away eventually.
That's true. That's true.
What will remain is how I embraced your mother.
Absolutely.
and whether I wiped her tear when she was crying watching a song.
Absolutely.
That's
তুমি জানো তো তোমাকে সবাই এই জন্য বেশি পছন্দ করে, আমার মা তোমাকে মারাত্মক ভালোবাসে, not just because you are an amazing artist,
yeah.
but my mother has come all the way and my mother wanted to watch this movie also because she loves you as a human being. This is something that my mother has taught me, that no matter how successful or how big a failure you are, how rich you are or how poor you are, nothing matters, কিচ্ছু ম্যাটার করবে না। যেদিনকে মানে একটা মানুষের এখান থেকে যেতে হবে, মানুষ কিন্তু এসে এটাই বলবে যে ভালো মানুষ ছিল না খারাপ মানুষ ছিল, আর কিচ্ছু বলবে না। And you are a really really nice human being and you should be extremely proud of it. Not just you, I think your family should be proud of you. Honestly, আমি এটাই বলছিলাম যে you know, when you talk about family, you had that strength and support from your family, right? It is very difficult for women who don't have that sense of support from their own loved ones. How important is the voice for you, because you got it while you were growing up, because your mom has been an extremely important integral part of your life and your life choices.
So I'll tell you, Nayandeep, first let me just talk about a particular term, which is being a feminist. I'm an out and out feminist.
Absolutely.
But again, feminism stands for equal rights.
Yes.
Not the fact that the man will do better or the woman will do better. It's we are going to be equal. We are going to deserve everything, in everything, equal rights. That is what feminism stands for. And that is the kind of household that I've been brought up in. I have an elder brother who lives in Delhi, and our parents have always made it a point to make us feel like equals no matter what. My mother has always said that Rahul is ready for the world. So I have to make sure that I have to prepare my daughter to be ready for the world. He's born ready. I have to prepare her. So that has been a focus. Also at the same time, I think it's not only important to bring up your daughter in a safe space.
Yeah.
If you actually provide the same safety to the son in the home, their psychological space would be better. If they are taught to respect the surroundings, say for example, the way you are saying that, you know, you've been brought up with so many women. That's the reason why the way you see, you will never ever disrespect a woman.
Yeah.
Because you've been provided with a safe space by your mother.
Absolutely.
So it's not only the fact that if only a girl is provided with it, that she will have a certain kind of an upbringing. Even the man, the son in the home has to be treated in a particular way so that they feel safe around women and they know that, okay, I don't have to protect her. I just have to be there for her.
Absolutely.
We don't need protection. We just need for you to understand that you and I, if you don't need protection, I also don't need protection.
Absolutely.
Just create that space for us.
Absolutely.
So of course my mom has been a driving force in my life, and so has my father. Both of them together, hand in hand. And I always tell people that, you know, you're not rich. The parameter of being rich or poor is not wealth. It's how wealthy you are when it comes to your upbringing.
Absolutely.
Just being born to a good set of parents, you're just born wealthy. No matter you're a pauper or a king, it doesn't matter. Just to be blessed with a good set of parents is everything.
আমি সবসময় বলি যে আমার ফ্যামিলি হচ্ছে আমার সবথেকে বড় মানে my biggest privilege. Because everybody
that
says
is privilege.
Yeah,
that is privilege.
Because in my position, the kind of choices that I have made in life, personally, professionally, a lot of people my age, my own friends have not been able to make those career moves that I did, right? Because their parents were not okay. My parents have always been so supportive that for me, that's the biggest privilege that I could have as a man, as a child, as whatever, as a son, that I could make my own independent decisions.
What I love about your upbringing and why I connect to it all the more, Nayandeep, is because, again, if I have to go back to your reel, okay, I think both our mothers have allowed us to dance whenever we wish to. Dance to the tunes of life. But they have always had this invisible leash. They know when to pull us back. Hence, we know the balance and we understand being responsible.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So they've ingrained a seed of responsibility with it. দায়িত্ববোধ জ্ঞানটা আছে আমাদের।
একদম। But আমার একটা জিনিস জানার আছে যে তুমি when we are talking about Binodini, you know, it's also important, you spoke about directors, it's also important that you, when a person is going and setting on to make a movie on one of the biggest artists who paved the way for other women, female artists as well as male artists, from a Nazariya point of view, she changed Nazariya of many men, right? So
and us zamane mein,
absolutely. How important is it to have a director who is also a feminist? Otherwise this movie can never be made. If Ramdas' language to women, towards women in his movies is not that, this movie wouldn't have been made.
So, taking cue from that, it's not that you have to be a man or a woman to be a feminist.
Absolutely.
A feminist is just a human who believes in not being sexist.
Absolutely.
As simple as that. And that is the beauty of Ram Kamal Mukherjee. I call him Ram Kamal Mukherjee.
Kamali.
I tell him 23rd of January, nationally 24th of January के पहले तक आप राम कमल मुखर्जी हो, वो कमल खिलेगा और वो कमाल दिखाएगा. So, touch wood.
It will. Another national award.
I really hope so.
You guys will get a national award.
Touch wood.
I will pray and I will manifest that for you sitting here. For you, for Ramda, for the entire team of Binodini, and most importantly, for all Bengalis.
So say best actor, best director, best film.
Absolutely. You guys will win. And for all Bengalis out there, represent.
Yes, of course. Putting Bengal on that global map is so important, and having a film which talks about empowerment and empowering women is so crucial in today's day and age.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think Ram's sensitivity, the way he can completely, पता है, उसमें ना एक अलग ही सनक है.
Yeah.
You know, with Ram, the way I imagine that the scene is starting here, in between the two of us, and when it goes into the mountains of Switzerland and takes a tour via Norway, and it goes and views, and then eventually you end up seeing the Northern Lights. Like it's bizarre. It's just
but beautiful.
Bizarre. It's exactly the Northern Lights. It's one of the most beautiful things that you can see in a lifetime, and he'll take you through this journey and you won't even realize it. And the thing about Ram is that he is so silly. He's so ridiculous. You can't imagine.
He's too funny.
He's too funny. And you know, when I was training for the film, like we had a 2-month-long vigorous session before we started going on floors, before we started the film. And I hated him because he was my friend. And then I felt I lost my friend because whenever we would do workshops in front of, you know, an entire lot of students, he'll be like, "Kora dikhao, ye karke dikhao mujhe. नहीं लेट के दिखाओ, नाच के दिखाओ, चल के दिखाओ, बात करके दिखाओ, हंस के दिखाओ, रो के दिखाओ." अभी मुझे लग रहा है यार मैं भी तो स्टार हूँ, if not something, no. See, in front of students मैं ऐसे कैसे करूँ? And I'm actually faltering. I'm not being able to, because I'm still learning, you know?
Yeah.
Learning the language, learning the nuance. And Binodini's journey is not just being Binodini. It's also the character she plays on stage. So there's Kopal Kundola, Neil Dorpon, Sita, Draupadi, and I'm like, Ram, give me some. No, kodo. And you know, I was like, I really don't want to work with him. And the day before we went on floors, he sat in my car and he held my hand and he said, when you truly start believing that this journey is only Rukmini and Ram's alone, will be the day we'll start making Binodini. And I didn't understand, you know, I didn't understand. And the next day when I went on floors, I was a nervous wreck. I had a panic attack. I was running a temperature of 103 out of a panic attack. This man had changed. He was the most distracting element on this set. He's singing songs, he's dancing, he's making everybody laugh, he's disturbing me in between shots. How? I said, no, come chat with me. There was a point I had to run away from him. I locked myself in the van. And he said, Esho, ashcho na kena golpo korbe na? I said, Ram, you disturb koro, huh? I don't want such a disturb. I'll throw you out of the set. As a director, I said, yeah, but you should let your actor. No. Then I told him one day, you are instructing everybody, Ram. You're not instructing me. That means I'm inadequate. No, आपको लग रहा है कि मुझसे कुछ नहीं हो रहा है इस वजह से ना. You've given up on me. And then one day he sits with me after we did a beautiful scene. He sat with me. He's like, you know, Amar Binodini ready. Amar Binodini jane she Binodini. My Binodini is ready to take on the world. So you are Binodini. I don't need to tell Binodini how to be Binodini. The rest I'm going to tell what to do. You are Binodini. Do what you have to.
You know, আমরা বোম্বেতে ছিলাম মনে হয় when you had shown me those stills from Binodini,
yes,
which had not come out and all that. I told you one thing, that this, I hope, it is that film that can put us on that map. And as a Bengali, I don't care if people feel that I'm being biased. I am. I want to be. Because I am proud of my roots. I know what kind of art we do in Calcutta. But I just somehow feel like when they talk about pan-India audience, I am a person who does pan-India interviews and I give immense respect to every artist from regions. But when I look at it from a very panoramic point of view, I feel that pan-India audience, pan-India films right now refer only to
South and Hindi.
Hindi and South.
And now little Punjabi.
Little Punjabi, but khubi kom. Bengali has Gujarati and little bit of Marathi also, but they are all like neglected in one corner. As a Bengali actress, do you also feel that there is that perception, there's that outlook that really needs to change?
You know, when I was working in Bombay during Sanak, and I met so many people, even even Mr. Ashutosh Gwarikar had called me to his office. He had seen the first cut of
Yeah.
Binodini, and he told Ram, "Who's this girl? Can I please meet her?" And he called me, and we had a 3-hour long chat session, which was beautiful. So the moral of the story is that they have this term for Bengali cinema. उनको ना बहुत इज्जत है हमारे सिनेमा के लिए.
Absolutely.
They really respect Bengalis when it comes to cinema and the kind of cinema we make. Even Vidyut used to tell me, यार कितनी खूबसूरती है. Like, you know, हम लोग हिंदी सिनेमा में एक फ्रेम में अदा देखते हैं. उनको लगता है कि हमारा सिनेमा ही एक अदाकारी है. You know, उनको ये विश्वास है हम पे. लेकिन I think somehow the canvas which is being presented by South or Hindi, owing to the budget, or maybe, and actually Bengali being one of the most spoken languages in the world, more than Hindi or
more
South.
than Hindi, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's in the top four. Yeah, top four. It's really difficult to understand why we are getting so behind everybody else, but also because of the fact that, you know, budgets have been a problem, the canvas, because people have got so used to watching everything globally what is happening. And of course, we are a small group, you know, of actors, directors, producers. We all know each other. If I actually bring in a manager, people will take it to her. You're asking me to speak to your manager, and in Bombay it's like you don't have a manager. So it's like an ulta thing, no? Okay, man. So it's like that. So with Calcutta, what has happened with Bengali industry? So because the market got so small, that something happened that we didn't understand how to multiply when it comes to business. And when you don't,
market.
Yeah, and market. So when you don't understand that, or when you cannot pull that, so naturally what happens, your audience is also getting, you know, it's getting narrowed down day by day. So it's a lot of contributing factors, but that doesn't take away from the art or the passion.
Absolutely.
And that is the reason why, again, I say that Binodini is a movement, is because where I feel that Bengal again has been one of the pioneers in producing women-centric film in compared to any other industry.
Absolutely.
Yet, you see South, you see Hindi, you see Punjabi, no heroine's budget, the bestest, the most grandest of film is the same as a hero's, like a superstar's budget. And for the first time in Bengal, the intention with Binodini was to put it back on the map.
Yeah.
And that needed that budget to justify the canvas, which will be palatable to the audiences nationwide, as well as to the current generation who's so used to global cinema, Hindi cinema,
Absolutely.
South cinema. And we fought for that. And then we demanded a budget which was equal to a superstar in Bengal. So that itself is also one of the things.
Or I mean, bolta me, because you know, when you spoke about feminism, this is also a part of that, right? Because equal rights, why not?
Yeah.
If a movie demands that, they should give it regardless of whether the main protagonist is female or male.
Yeah.
Or maybe a non-binary gender hero. Why not?
Yeah.
But I just want to say that একটা interview ছিল না তো Ratna Pathak Shah, lovely woman. She was talking
Fantastic
about
actor.
fantastic artist, speaks all for artists and for women in general. There was this conversation about feminism where somebody told her that, oh, today women, matlab, it's okay for equal rights, but women are getting too loud. You know, they're talking too much. Like there's a lot of chatter only about women rights. So there'll be the need of the hour will be men emancipation. That was the conversation that she spoke about, and she beautifully explained it that feminism has always been about equal rights, but for decades, generations, and God knows centuries, women have been put down and their voices have been put down in such a level that পাল্লাটা already এতটাই নিচু যে ওটা ব্যালেন্স করাও না, ওটা একটু ওঠানোর জন্য অনেকটা আওয়াজ করতে হয়, right? As a woman, do you feel that when you go in and do your daily like work?
See, you know, Nayan, the thing is that empowered women, what we see is we talk about Kolkata, Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi to an extent. But that is not women's position in the society.
Yeah.
It's 2 hours away from Kolkata. It's 2 hours away from Bombay, from Delhi. That is where you know where women actually stand.
আর কলকাতা তো তাও মেট্রিয়ার্কাল অনেকটাই।
2 ঘন্টা দূরে যাও, তুমি বুঝতে পারবে এখনো মেয়েদেরকে পড়াশোনা করতে দেওয়া হয় না।
True.
এখনো girls are educated to find a good groom to marry them off. That too also class 12 টা বা 10. You know, it's like that. এখনো মেয়েদেরকে গঙ্গায় ভাসিয়ে দেওয়া হয়। So अब नहीं तो कब?
Exactly.
एक तो आएगा ना, बोलते बोलते एक डायलॉग थी मैरी कॉम में, कितना भी मत डराओ कि सीने से डर ही निकल जाए.
Exactly.
So I think that's the time for women today.
So are you scared of anything?
To losing a loved one. That's my biggest fear. Otherwise, nothing else.
Thank you so much for doing this. And I hope and pray, and shudu pray na ami jani. Somewhere deep down I know that this might just change the naksha of Bengali film industries nationwide, and who knows, maybe globally as well. And to all the awards, amra abar dekha korchi, and we are gonna do this interview. And I love you the most.
Thank you, Nayandeep.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you for being here for me.
Not at all. Anything for you.
Thank you, Nayandeep.
GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.